안녕하세요. 제 이름은 남입니다. Hi everyone, it's Nami. Today I'm sitting on the floor in the corner of the room because tomorrow my vacation ends and I have to go back to teaching after like 4 or 5 weeks of vacation. I'm gonna clean my brushes because they are crazy. I had a viewer ask me to make a video on, why I had 2 C-sections because I did mention it before. And I never really talked about the surgeries in like one video, and so that's why I wanted to do that today and be efficient by cleaning my brushes at the same time. But wait, before we get started, I sound like those infomercials. Before we get started, I want to invite you to subscribe down below to become part of the Nacho fam, and also make sure that the bell is turned on so you are notified when a new video is released. That way you can come onto the video while it's fresh and hot like hot steaming buns, and I also like to take that time to reply to your comments, so let us just jump into the video. I had 2 C-sections, yes, and I do have C-section scar. I didn't want a C-section at all. However, sometimes things happen. The reason why I had 2 C-sections was because I had no choice. However, I did make a video about the story of Galahad's birth, my first son, how he was born. I'll put that right here where Michael and I talk about the day that Galahad was born and the days following after. But basically, to sum it up shortly, my water broke, and that is something very rare. Usually a pregnant woman's water only breaks 20% of the time. So I was in that 20% of water breaking first before you actually go into active labor, which is when your contractions are very close together and coming regularly. I did not go into any labor at all whatsoever. I was 7 weeks past my 7 weeks, oh my goodness, 7 days past my due date. No contractions were happening and my water breaks. Then there was baby poo, like fetus poo, inside my water, and usually babies do not poo until they are born. So this was kind of bad because it's bad for them to be swallowing their poo, obviously. And when you do see melatonin, you do want to get the child out as soon as possible. As I mentioned, I was late, I was overdue, and there was no baby. My water broke and we saw melatonin. So we called my midwife and she said, we're gonna induce me because I had no signs of labor. So they did put an IV in me and try to get the labor progressing. But after 23 hours of labor, the cervix is the whole...
Sorry, you said melatonin.
I said melatonin.
You mean the sleeping chemical?
No, the poo.
Meconium.
Meconium. The baby poo is called meconium. The cervix is actually the muscle that, I think it's a muscle, that the baby's body needs to pass through. And so the cervix is supposed to open and dilate like about 10 centimeters. But for me, after 23 hours of induced labor, that means I was having an artificial drug called oxytocin mimicking labor hormones into my bloodstream, getting my contractions going. My cervix was only dilated 3 centimeters, which is a huge difference from 10. You cannot pass a baby through 3 centimeters. That's like literally this big. Can you see that? That's really small compared to 10 centimeters. And at that point, I already had a uterine infection because my water was broken. And when the water breaks, the membrane that protects your uterus from bacteria actually ruptures. And so they generally like to have the water unbroken until the final stages of labor. But because my water broke early and I had an infection and my cervix wasn't dilating, they said I have to get an emergency C-section. They literally woke me up all sedated and like sleepy and drugged, and they were like, please sign the papers, like this is the situation, blah 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 blah, and here are the risks of having an emergency C-section. We need your consent and you need to sign here if you agree to have the emergency C-section. And so I remember like signing that paper, but I was like, oh no, my signature looks so ugly, because literally it looked like squirrel handwriting, not even chicken scratch. So they took me to the operational room and everything went smoothly. Actually, no, it didn't. I mean, the surgery went smoothly, but the afterwards didn't really go smoothly because I was bleeding a lot and they had to transfuse 2 units of blood. That's 2 like big bags of blood into my body because I lost a lot of blood. I think my uterus was like super exhausted from all those hours of contractions. So when we had the C-section, I was bleeding a lot and I had postpartum hemorrhage. So that's why I had to have my first C-section. Regarding the second C-section, I had the second C-section electively because once you've already had a first C-section, you have options for your later birth. Either number one, you can just choose to have another C-section, or number two, you can try to have a VBAC. A VBAC is a vaginal birth after cesarean. I don't know why I'm going like this. I'm like, girl! And a vaginal birth after C-section is very rigorous. Like there's a lot of rules to it for it to go smoothly. Basically, long story short, in one sentence, my condition did not fit that perfect condition of having a VBAC, and that's why I had to have my C-section the second time. But to go more into detail, to have a VBAC, you have to go into labor yourself. Number one, you have to be within birthing terms. So that's from 38 weeks, 39 weeks, 40 weeks. And another condition is that you have to have had only one C-section before trying to have a VBAC. If you have already had two C-sections, then you can't risk a VBAC because your uterus has been cut already. They want to prevent uterary rupture or something like that. I'll put the exact term right here. It's basically when your uterus ruptures. During the labor process, if your uterus has lots of contractions, something happens to your incision that you used to have, they want to prevent that, and so that's why they say you should only try a VBAC if you have only had one cesarean section before trying to have a VBAC. And I think the last condition was that the VBAC had to take place minimum 2 years after your last cesarean. So for me, I qualified for that aspect. Galahad's birthday is 2.5 years before Ziek's. However, I did not go into labor by myself and I didn't have any contractions. It was the same progression as Galahad's birth. After I passed my due date, we were just thinking, okay, it looks like we might not have a VBAC. In that case, we'll just wait until 7 days post due date. By the time that we reach the 7th day, if the contractions don't come, then we'll just do an elective C-section instead of doing a induction again, just because that was really hard on my body and it didn't help me go into labor, and we ended up having to have a C-section anyways. So we thought it would, be the same progression. We already see the first sign of the same labor happening. We didn't want to kind of put my body through that again, and just decided to book a C-section if I didn't go into labor myself by the 7th day post due date. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting for a week, and we're like, are the contractions coming? I don't think so. And then the 7th day came and we're like, Kate, let's just cut him out. That sounds really graphic, but I'll put a little link to a vlog up here with the day before and the day that he was born and like a few weeks after. It's a really short vlog, but basically I kind of go through what we went through during that process. You can check it out if you're interested in seeing that. It was a lot better the second time with the C-section. We booked for the morning, we went in, and then we just went straight into the operating room after I filled out some papers. Ziek was literally born 30 minutes after the surgery started, and the surgery only took a total of 2 hours. It was a pretty quick surgery. We knew what to expect. The first time with Galahad, I passed out like more than 3 times because I was losing a lot of blood. But this time I was like, I felt so good. Like I felt like normal. I mean, as normal as you can feel awake during a C-section. And I think that's basically all I had to say about why I had 2 C-sections. I also did want to show you my incision real quick, and also my flabby belly that my pants are holding in. You might think that I look slim, but I'm hiding a lot. Here is my incision. Ta-da! It's not that big. When I had my first C-section, it was about 1 inch smaller. So it was about this big. But the second time, I guess they had to cut around the incision, and that's why it became larger. It's pretty much healed now. I mean, it's not that... Here, let me come closer. It's not that big, but it's pretty big. And you can see that my skin line here, this is called the... I have no idea, Luna Negra or something. This line, it kind of shifts down here because of the way they sewed my stomach. It kind of is a little bit misaligned. And one of my biggest insecurities is my belly button. It like totally got stretched out from being pregnant. I never show anyone my belly button. Like my mom doesn't even see it. So here it is now on the internet. And you can see when I relax my stomach, I still have a lot of stomach stretching and there's a little bit more skin over my incision. But I'm sure with time, you know, it'll tighten back up. It's still a little bit tingly when I touch it, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable. Like I remember when it would sting and it would tug from the inside. In the beginning, I was really scared and I didn't want to have a C-section, but there are a lot of benefits to it because you can know what you're gonna expect for the most part, a lot more than a natural, unpredictable labor. With my first C-section, as I already told you guys, it was really difficult for me because I was induced for 23 hours beforehand, but the second C-section was a lot better and a lot smoother, and I actually really enjoyed it because it was really quick, 2 hours compared to like who knows how many hours in a natural delivery. It's totally unpredictable. And I was still conscious and not, you know, in any pain while the baby was born because I did have anesthetics in my spine. But it does take, I would say, about double the time to recover because you didn't just give birth, you gave birth and had a surgery at the same time. Do you hear Zeke screaming? He's like screaming right now. But yeah, I don't feel any negative towards C-section now that I've experienced two. And I do wish that, you know, things would have gone smoother before for both Galahad and Zeke's deliveries, but I am grateful for how it turned out because it has formed me and shaped me into who I am today. And after 2 months post-surgery, I felt more like my normal self. I was still walking relatively slower than usual, and there is some tugging and pain in the incision area because that area is, you know, where your skin was cut, but very graphic, I know, sorry. But it was okay, and you know, I healed and you heal and your body heals. Definitely, if you guys have any more questions regarding anything that you would like to know more about in detail, I would love to do a video on it because I love talking and it's really fun, and I just love talking. I think like I like it even more talking to you guys like this, especially because it gives me the freedom to talk. I think a lot as a child, like I really loved to talk when I was younger, but because I think people didn't like me talking so much because I talked a lot. Like I really talked a lot. Like I would say every single thought that was in my mind, like everything. I would just say it. Like I had no reservation to the things that I was saying. So yeah, I really like talking to you guys. I think a lot of people never really listened to me or never wanted to listen to me, and no one really liked me when I was younger, so no one really listened to me except Michael. Michael was the only person besides my two closest friends who ever listened to me and not questioned why I was saying what I was saying or why I was talking so much. He never questioned me. I've had some friends who would be like, so what's your point? Like, why are you saying this? And no one wants to hear you, and no one wants to, you know, what you're saying is irrelevant, and even if it's relevant, no one cares, kind of thing. Which was really hurtful, but you know, they were kids too, I guess. At that time, we were only in middle school. I'm thankful for you guys to listen to me because I'm gonna start crying. No, why do I always start wanting to cry when I'm talking to you guys? As I'm waving Zeke's sock. Is this Zeke's? I'm really thankful to you guys for listening to me talk because growing up, I never had that at all. Like not even my mom or any family. I'm gonna cry. And so I love you and I thank you so much for giving me and us your time to listen and ask questions and want to know and also encourage me and but okay, I should stop talking. Definitely, my point was definitely if there's something that you want to know more about in detail, I would love to answer it because it's really fun for me, and it also helps give me video ideas because I sometimes forget and don't know what I should talk to you guys about. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, then please like the video down below. If you disliked it, dislike it and tell me why. You guys probably already know, but I am uploading more frequently, 2 to 3 videos a week, and so please subscribe to stay updated and also to become part of the Natural Fam. I also have an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, so definitely check me out on those if those are platforms that you use. And that is it, so we'll see you guys next time. Bye.